CBS News got an exclusive look into the controversial migrant facility in Homestead, Florida. The shelter for migrant children has been recently likened to a prison. Manuel Bojorquez sat down with the Health and Human Services Secretary Azar to discuss the conditions.
It's the first time news cameras have been allowed inside the Homestead shelter, which currently houses 2,600 unaccompanied minors. Health and Human Services Secretary Azar gave us a brief guided tour. We saw orderly lunch lines, packed and boisterous classrooms, and children moving about the sprawling campus single file.
Some people might look at this and wonder if you're showing us a sanitized version.
No, you're seeing what I see when I come here.
Azar is pushing back against criticism after disturbing reports about conditions at Border Patrol facilities, which are not part of his department.
Well, there's been a lot of factual misrepresentations or just ignorant statements made about Homestead and, frankly, the broader program that we run at HHS.
But attorneys who previously inspected Homestead and spoke to children said many complained about the treatment here, too.
One of the things they allege is prison-like rules, where children, according to one attorney, expressed fear and anxiety around the enforcement of shelter rules, and in some cases were told that if they stepped out of line, it could affect their immigration case. Is that happening?
Well, let me be really clear. That would be completely improper. And the staff here have been instructed after that allegation was made that any such behaviors or statements would be wrong and subject to discipline.
There are currently 13,500 minors in HHS care. We were not allowed to interview minors in Homestead, but we were shown some of the smaller Stark dormitories, though the facility does have much larger halls that can accommodate more than 140 beds.
We ask our kids what they prefer, and the kids actually prefer the larger, more bunk bed, dormitory, larger setting that you're referring to.
They prefer that.
That's what they tell us.
It's not what the attorneys are saying clearly in this filing.
I'll go with the children.
And Manuel Bojorquez joins us now from Homestead, Florida. Manny, as you mentioned in your piece, some have described the conditions at the Homestead facility as prison-like. What did you see and what stood out to you?
Well, they definitely like to have order in there, and the way it was put to us is you have to, when you have that many young people, teenagers really, inside of one facility. They wouldn't describe it as prison-like, the officials that we spoke with today, even though some of the critics of the shelter have. As you saw, we were taken into the lunch area, into some of the classrooms there, where the children did seem enthusiastic there. Of course, they knew we were coming, and they knew that their big boss was coming, just to provide some context there. They waved at us. We were not able to speak to the kids directly ourselves to find out how they were feeling. But beyond the optics of what we saw in there, what we can't really see is how the children are doing on the inside, of course. And that's what a lot of the critics have said here, that they believe the stays have been too long and that these children may not be able to express how they're feeling to someone they feel is an official and if it will impact their case. Now, the the secretary, I should say, Azar, has told us that they do have mental health advisors available, and they remind the children that they have access to them.
I wonder what else stood out from your conversation with the secretary.
Well, it was interesting to see what the children are seeing from the outside. Throughout the week, we had candidates out here with protesters who have been standing on ladders looking in, and we were able to see that from the other side in there today. It was an interesting point made by the secretary that they actually, because of all the commotion out here, claimed that they had to do some lockdowns to get the children inside because they felt it was getting out of control outside. But other than that, you know, it was pretty much what we had seen before in a video that was released by the secretary, by the HHS, not independent video from a news organization. We were not able to see the large dormitory that some critics have talked about not being really conducive to sleep to students. We were able to see a small one. So it was a guided tour, definitely, but definitely giving us at least some insight into what conditions are like in there.
I wonder, do we have any idea of how the emergency funding for the border wall will be used at these facilities?
We asked that. So, of course, HHS is getting a pretty large share of that. The secretary described it this way. You'll remember there was talk about the shelters having to cut education and some recreational activities because the money was running out. He says that's no longer an issue because of the new funds that have been infused into the system. And he also hopes that this will be able to bring in more caseworkers. Again, to the issue of how long kids are staying here. The sponsors they are released to have to be vetted, and And the secretary said that takes time. We have to make sure they're released to somebody who has been fingerprinted, who we know will be a safe, upstanding character. So they're hoping to get more caseworkers to get the process rolling a little faster. He said the average wait from HHS has dropped from 96 days, and that was just over 6 months ago, to 25 days here at Homestead, and they're hoping to cut that even more if possible.
All right, Manuel Bojorquez in Homestead, Florida. Manny, thank you.
Thank you.